Welcome to the high school planning video for homeschooling parents who are no longer motivated and are at the end. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The baby graduates in just 2 or 3 years, and everyone just wants to check a box. Let's talk about that. Hello and welcome to my planning video. I am Mary Wilson. I have homeschooled, I have 4 children. 2 were in my homeschool. They have graduated. One actually has graduated college and begins a full-time job as a recreational therapist in the fall. My second daughter is finishing up her final year of her associate's degree in graphic design. And I have 2 sons who are both still left at home with me, finishing up their high school years. My third child, my first son, is a senior this year. So pretty much you'll see as we're talking, all of his classes are at the community college. There's no pretty much about it. And my sophomore is 15, and he is doing a mix of classes outside of our home, online classes, and stuff with me. But the reality is, we're at the point in the journey for all of us where we're done. We're checking boxes and trying to get people on the path to the places where they want to be. But those fun unit study, field trip filled co-op book club years have kind of ended. So that starts to change. Let's talk about that change really briefly before I kind of get into the plan. That all started to change for me because I have 4 kids. It began to change when the oldest hits high school, and then really changed when my second child hit high school, because suddenly I was driving kids around a lot more to different classes, to different, theater groups, gymnastics activities. And of course, that was the priority. And little siblings were kind of worked into the side times that we had available for still play dates or book clubs and things for them. But it was slowly fading off. And by the time my third son got to high school, it was kind of all ending. So it's been a few years since we've been involved in any sort of homeschool co-op or homeschool group or book clubs or any of the things that I used to do all the time, organizing co-ops in my house and field trips and all of that kind of thing. It has been a while for us because things have just slowly changed as kids have gotten retail jobs, they've gotten more actively involved in sports or athletics, their own interests, their own groups. They get their licenses, they make their own friends, they make their own plans. And it does all start to change. So if you are in the midst of all that process, there might be a little grieving that you have to do. I've kind of gone through that, come out on the other end. And yes, it's still sad at moments and times, but in general, I'm kind of done too. I have found my niche kind of teaching online. I teach book clubs. I love it. That is filling my time, and it's making everything trickier because now I have a job on top of all of their schedules. So it makes planning complicated and also a little boring because I'm not diving into all of the fun things I used to do. And for years, I have held on to the subject of history to be able to have some fun with them. And that has even changed this year. And I have a funny story about that. And I'll share that when we get to history. But the reality is it's all very different. So I'm going to talk about like kind of the outside frame of how I function, and then we'll talk about like the details inside. So hopefully you'll maybe find some good stuff you can grab from either the frame or the details. So what kind of frames our homeschool is me helping each of the kids fill their time. I think teens need to be busy. They need to get to some things. They need to find things they love that they want to do. And also pursuing their goals, starting to look down the road. Do you want to go to a 4-year college? What are some options that you're looking at? Do you want to be a transfer student? Go to community college first, then transfer. Do you want to go immediately to the 4-year college your freshman year? Are you just interested in going to work? What are some things you're looking at? So that is kind of the goal. My oldest and I had a talk this summer. He would like to continue at community college. He's doing dual enrollment right now. He'll graduate in May from high school. He would like to continue at community college for at least a year or two and then transfer to a 4-year because he is thinking of going all the way through master's and doctorate in like theoretical physics. So he's like, I'd like to save some money, stay home for 2 years, and then go pursue those goals. So we will still do some college touring in the fall because we will plan his dual enrollment classes and his coursework to aim for some of the colleges. And I'll explain how that affected some of our choices this year. My sophomore, my 15-year-old won't drive for another year. So I'm still driving him everywhere. Last year, he found basketball, loves it almost every day a week, usually not Wednesdays or Sundays, but all the other days. We are often either at a game or a practice or an event. And my main goal for him is, as his brother pulled away from us more and more last year, it was a lot of him and I. And we have a blast together. We enjoy each other. We're planning ourselves a trip in December to New York City, just the two of us, to go see the city at the holidays. But he needs some other things during the day, especially because 2 weeks of the month I work a lot on Wednesdays. So I'm not really available to him at all. And I need him to have his academics he can handle on his own. And I want him to also have lots of other things to fill his time. So he's not just on a computer playing video games or scrolling YouTube shorts, because that is what we have spent a lot of time this summer doing. So basketball was a big one. So we looked for private coaching for him because he really wants to pursue it. He's thinking maybe he'd even like to play in college. So we found a private coach for him. And then he got invited to an additional evening by invite only on his team to kind of do a special thing they're doing right now. And then I started looking around at volunteer work opportunities, and the camp that my oldest daughter worked at, he is old enough to work. He has applied for a job to hopefully one day a week work there as kind of a teacher helper in their homeschool classes. They offer homeschool classes year round, and they have teen homeschoolers who help in the K through 5th grade classes, woodworking and PE and art and just all this fun clubs enrichment. And the teen helpers, they help with the carpool line and they help get the kids. And I think it'll be great for him. In fact, I have a feeling he'll enjoy it so much that he will want to be a camp counselor in the summer. And this can all turn into the transcript, not only as community service or job experience, but also a leadership class. That's what I gave my oldest daughter a credit in. I think we called it like leadership skills, because they do a lot of training there and they teach these kids a lot of things. So that would be great for him. And we also have some volunteer opportunities that we have scheduled. So kind of on the outside frame is making sure that we are lining things up for them to pursue the path that they are aiming for, whether that is their associates, whether that's the workforce, whether that's college, and filling their time. You must do things other than YouTube shorts. That is something that weighs on me, especially when they can't drive. So we're like the ages 13 to 16, a lot of it falls on a parent to get them to these things. So I'm trying to talk to the coach to be like, the coach who can do one-on-one coaching, like what days is he free? His free day is now interfering with the day my son was going to work up at the camp. And if we try to change that day, it interferes with the day I'm working. And so you're constantly doing all this plugging and trying to switch things around. And that can be demotivating, which is probably why it's then hard to be like, oh my gosh, and I still have to figure out all the classes. But we do. So let's talk about the classes. I have no cute planning sheets. I don't use calendars. I gave up on all of that. It doesn't really matter anymore. I kind of sketch things out on a piece of paper with each subject, so I can just make sure I'm covering everything. I plug it into their transcript so I know what we're doing and we proceed. I will probably have to get a calendar or a Google Sheet and do some planning of the history that we are doing. So let's talk the details, the big four: math, English, science, history, and what that looks like. For math, it has been easy for us since my oldest daughter, who is now graduated college, was in 7th grade. We found Mr. D Math. We take his self-paced classes online. And by the way, I will link to all of the stuff I mentioned down in the description. My oldest will take Calc 1 at the community college, and he will take Calc 2 in the spring. My sophomore will be continuing. That's why we like self-paced. He started geometry last year. We will continue this year. And if he finishes, he'll continue on to Algebra 2. The other math program I really have liked that one child used for a short period of time was CTC Math. So those are kind of the two we found. There are so many math programs and there are more being developed all the time. I'm kind of in that space of if it ain't broke, let's not fix it. We got just a few more years. So we will do Mr. D. English, we were very fortunate to find a local English teacher who we just adore. She uses the IEW program for many of her classes. So my sophomore will do her Windows to the World literary analysis course with IEW. You buy the little binder. It is a fantastic literary analysis course. That said, it is heavy on the Christian themes and worldview. So if that is not your jam, you might skirt that one. She adds her own reading. My son's book stack. This year is probably the least amount of novels they do in this class because they do so many short stories in the literary analysis class. So he will get to a Shakespeare play. They're doing Romeo and Juliet. He will get to read The Help, which my son, who is a senior, loved. This is one of his favorite novels. To Kill a Mockingbird, kind of hitting a classic. And then a biography of Johnny Erickson Tata, who is very well known in Christian circles, maybe even outside of that. And then he will also read kind of a fun adventure book called Michael Vey, Prisoner of Cell 25 or something like that. It's a book one in a series, and it's just kind of an exciting adventure series. And they do that in this class as well. So I just ordered it, or I would show it to you, but I don't have it because that is where I am. I'm like, oh, school starts soon. We better make sure we have all the books. And somehow two of my other kids have taken this class and I don't own that book. I must have borrowed it, got it from the library. And this time I'm like, no, I just want them all in the house. So I ordered it. My older son will take English 111 at the community college, and he will take 112 maybe in the spring. And this is where, when I'm saying like to look at what the different universities require, this is where it gets important. So I live in North Carolina. My kids will go to a state school. NC State requires English 111 and 112 to count as one English class at NC State. So if you want to skip and get credit for their introductory English class, you have to take both of those at the community college. All of the other state schools take English 111 and they count it as their introductory English and writing class. So he will definitely take English 111, depending on if he's still thinking NC State might be one of the schools he applies to, he'll take 112 in the spring. If he ends up going somewhere else, they'll count it as an elective. It's no big deal. But if he's like, no, I'm not going to NC State, I'm going to one of these other schools, that he doesn't have to take English 112 if he doesn't want to. So that's why it's kind of important just to know what they're requiring at schools that you are potentially looking at. Science. We have a local science teacher. We're very fortunate. He is amazing. He is fun. He makes learning fun. The kids look forward to going, and he does high school science. So my sophomore will take biology there. I will be driving him unless one of his siblings does, but I'm actually free that day that he has it. So it'll probably be me. And my oldest will take chemistry or physics at the community college in the spring. We couldn't fit it in the schedule this fall, so he'll take it in the spring. And then history, we are trying something different. I've always done history with them. We have had boring years. We had a year that we did Khan Academy just to check the box. It was not all that exciting. I added some stuff as I could, but it was not thrilling. And we've had other great years. Last year, I thought was actually a lot of fun. We did Beautiful Feet, Ancient History, and we read amazing books throughout the year as we studied all the different civilizations in the ancient world. In fact, we're finishing one right now because we made it all the way to the final civilization, which was Rome. And then we took a summer break. So we are finishing up reading, I think it's Augustus Caesar's World. And we're doing that right now, which is what makes this next statement quite funny. So this year, we're going to go ahead and try a CLEP test. Now, we have never done this. A friend was telling me about it. So a CLEP test is not like an ACT. It is a 120 question multiple choice test. And students can take it and they can CLEP out of a college class. So it gives them college credit. So my son needed US history. I've done US history several times, but he needs it on his transcript. The girls have it on theirs. So he's done it, but he was like in middle school. So we thought we'll do a US history 1, and there is a CLEP test for it. So I bought the study book for the CLEP test. And on the CLEP website, which I'll link down below, they link to several places that you could take a course to prepare you. So they linked to a course at a place called modernstates.com, and they have a US history 1. It's all video and textbook. It's an OpenStax textbook, so it's completely free online. I went ahead today and I ordered a hard print copy because I don't want to. My son said he really wanted. I said, do you want to read the PDF pages on your iPad, or do you want them printed for you? And my sophomore was like, I really want them printed. So I just went ahead, instead of me printing the pages constantly, I ordered a printed copy of the Hard Stacks book. You could do that on Amazon. And we're going to try this. Here's what was funny. I showed my sons, here's the course. You would basically watch this intro video. We could all watch it together, and then you would do these readings on your own and answer these multiple choice questions to kind of prepare you for the CLEP test. And I was like, how's that sound? I know it doesn't look like that exciting. And my 15-year-old's like, well, it'll be better than what we normally do. And I was like, well, what's that? What do we normally do? He's like, with you reading to us all the time. That's right. So in a house where we cherish books and read aloud time, that is how my son feels about it now at 15 years old. He is ready to just check the box. So give him the textbook page, let him read it, answer the questions, and move on. I don't know if my sophomore will want to take the CLEP test. So he may just take the US history credit at the end on his high school transcript. That's fine. My senior probably will study and take the test. So then he will also have accomplished a history college credit as well. All right, so those are the big 4: math, English, science, and history. Then you get into foreign language. My senior has already finished foreign language on Outschool. Yes, that is where I teach book club, and we started using it for classes as well once they hit high school. So he is finished. My sophomore will take Spanish 2. He already did Spanish 1 with a teacher on Outschool. I'll link her below. So he's going to go ahead and continue with Spanish 2 with her. He really liked it, seemed to be having fun, doing well, learning Spanish. Again, we are just checking boxes here. Anyone really interested in continuing to pursue that would probably take Spanish 1 at the community college again for like a confident A and continue on from there. And then there's electives. Got to round out the transcript with electives. So again, when I said I don't have planning sheets, I have transcripts because I already had to create one for my oldest, and then I basically made copies of it, filled in new kids' names, erased all her classes, and started filling in theirs. So once I put the big 4 on their transcript, my son will have Spanish, so he's got the big 5 in there. I like to find like 2 electives. So PE is always a good one, health, art, some sort of fine arts, computer coding, whatever your kid is into. Basketball works for PE credit. I mentioned he will be working up at that camp. I can probably pull that into a leadership class. I think I had her read even a book, like maybe 7 Habits the Highly Effective Teens or something like that to kind of round it out. And I've been looking at a personal finance class. I can't say anything about it. I've never taken it, but I found it online called PEM Life, Personal Finance Illustrated. And it's an online course. They have a homeschooler option. So I've been looking at that. It looks a little intense, a little rigorous. So I don't know if it'll be too much, but we would do that as a group. And then my son at dual enrollment will take what they call ACA. It's a college transfer success class. It is a 2-credit class, maybe even 3. It transfers to college as like an elective, and he will do that, and it will kind of help him narrow down which colleges he wants to go to in that process. So that is probably it. So again, the biggest change is like when they were young, I was just so excited to plan all this fun. And now, if I'm honest, they don't even appreciate it. Like they just want to be done school. And that is okay. That is okay. We had years, beautiful memories and themed book clubs and tea times and fun. And now my goal is to help them check the boxes they need to so that they can graduate high school and pursue their goals. and that they can have time for the things they love. That is why we homeschool. We used to homeschool to create this particular educational experience, which I loved. But now, instead of homeschooling necessarily to create a particular educational experience, I'm still curating their education, but it is more checking the boxes so that they can have more time in their day to pursue the things they really love. Basketball, computer coding. My one son watches calculus videos just for fun online and creates formulas. But that's what I want them to have time to do. And time with their friends, time with their video games, time to get things done so that they are not running high anxiety stress that so many kids are. So it has changed and it's okay. And that's where it is. So if your planning page looks like this, and it's not pretty and it's not color coded and there's not all this fun. What we do now when we have a free day is we walk up to Duncan because it's here in the neighborhood and we play cards, and I still want time for that. But it doesn't look like morning time anymore with all of our stack of books and the games and all of that kind of stuff and the art. And I'm not 100% sure I miss it so much anymore. Like, this is okay. This is okay. We're having fun. We're checking the boxes. People are on their paths to graduating and getting out to do the things that they want to do. And that is the biggest goal. So this is what it looks like. Everything will be linked below. If you have specific questions, I'm always happy to do a part 2 with some Q&A about high school and helping them find their things and all that kind of jazz. But that's it. That's what it looks like for us, and trying to fit it all in around my all afternoon teaching on Tuesday and all day on Wednesdays this year. It gets a little tricky, but we're hanging in there. All right, everyone. Happy planning. Oh, and if you have great elective ideas or resources for me, drop them down there. I would love to add some things, while I say I'm looking at finance, it's kind of a good general course, maybe in economics. I don't know. I'm kind of looking around for a good general one I can have them take. All right. Bye, everyone.